New York Giants fans, New York Giants fans. I was told, people told me that they didn't like the fact that I would do a countdown. So, no countdown. We right to the business. We're right to it. I don't know what to say. Like, I am shocked. I am shocked. But here's what I will tell you. Now is not the day to diss people that had nothing to do with where we are in this situation with the Giants, right? Now is not a day to critique or criticize or do any of that with Jackson Dart. So if you came to hear me bag on Jackson Dart, then you came to the wrong place. I have to start with love because it's not Jackson Dart's fault. Like, Jackson Dart didn't put himself in the situation where he was drafted under these circumstances. But if you want me to sit here and tell you that I feel good about what this team did, then you came to the wrong place. Do I have a problem with them taking Abdul Carter with 3? No, I don't have a problem with them taking Abdul Carter with 3. But let me just let you in on something I've been saying. He is not a generational talent. I don't know why we keep on trying to throw around generational talents. There was only one generational talent in this draft. His name is Travis Hunter. And the team that had a chance to draft the generational talent took quarterback. The second team that had a chance to draft the generational talent traded him away for picks. They got a first and they got 3 more premium picks. 3 more. So now the Giants are sitting there at 3 after watching the Browns turn their number 2 pick into the 5th pick and the 30-something pick and the 100th pick and a first round the next year. And they said, nope, we'll just take Abdul Carter. Cool. You got on him. You loved him, right? You went with them. That's cool, right? That's cool. I'm not mad at that. So now in my world, okay, the day is over for the Giants, right? And then I watch and I start seeing Shedeur Sanders fall, and we get to the 20s, and I go, oh, well, if the Giants are really interested in bringing Shedeur Sanders in, now is the time to double back and get him. And to my surprise, to my to everything, they did it. They went back in the first round. They gave up 2 legitimate picks, right? They gave up 2 premium picks. And if you know what I tell you, anything in the top 100 is premium pick. They gave up 2 premium picks in order to get up 9 spots to take Jackson Dart. Now, here's my problem with them taking Jackson Dart. It's not that they took Jackson Dart over Shedeur Sanders. And I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why in a second. But first, I wanna just say what's up to the people. Curtis West, shout out, first on the scene, right? Dart over Sanders. Giants didn't need to trade up for Dart. That's what I'm getting at, ladies and gentlemen. It's not that they chose Dart over Sanders. Nobody was taking a quarterback at that point, right? Nobody. It's clear now nobody was taking Shedeur Sanders. The Steelers passed on Shedeur Sanders, right? So it was clear Sanders was going to drop out of the first round. That's fine. That's cool, right? No biggie. Nobody was taking Jackson Dart in the first round. Why would you Why would you give away so much draft capital to go and get him? That doesn't make any sense. Shout out to G York 718. Did we really need to trade the pick? Right? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Brian Thomas, I'm with you. I have a giant issue. But again, I'm going to keep saying this throughout. The giant issue is not with Jackson Dart. Right? It's not with Jackson Dart. And it's not even with the team deciding to draft Jackson Dart over Abdul Carter. Right? It's not even about that. I'm sorry, drafting Dart over Shedeur Sanders. It's not even about that. Right? And people say, and shout out to Delvon, right? People will say, yeah, they wanted the 5th-year option. And I get it from the standpoint, I even said it on my quick reaction. I get it from the standpoint of, you know, he's going to not play this year, right? You know he's not playing this year. And so if you know he's not playing this year, get that extra year so that this year can be an evaluatory year, right? Okay, cool. But still, you don't need that. Because if he plays 2 years and is good, you're re-upping, right? You're re-upping. They were worried that the Rams wanted him. The Rams traded out of the 1st round for a haul. The Rams don't need a quarterback this year, and they don't need to reach for a quarterback this year because they probably think that next year's quarterback class is going to be better, which, by the way, it's not. I know that that's what they're feeding all of you. Those dudes are not that great next year as well. They're not. Right? I'm not here to talk about Jackson Dart and whether he's good or not. I'm not going to do that. He's the pick. We'll find out together. I'll tell you that I would not have picked him. But we're going to find out together whether or not he's good. Right? So they were why Giants? Why? Rams were taking him. That's a lie. Rams traded down. They were not taking him. They didn't say, oh, we're going to take Jackson Dart or we're going to trade down and get this haul of picks. Some of y'all just be out here talking. Rams were not taking him. He was not going in the 1st round. And if he did, who cares? If you're not willing to take a quarterback with your top 3 pick, you should be willing to walk away from that quarterback. Nobody's taking the quarterback when you trade back in and going, yeah, we knew he was the franchise. Sorry. It's not happening. That's not happening. Sorry. It was already. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. They were not taking him. The Giants have already picked up the 5th year, have already said that they're picking up the 5th-year option on Thibodeau. So all of the people who are ready to throw Thibodeau out, they're already picking up the 5th-year option on Thibodeau. I haven't heard anything about Neal's contract, but here's what I'll tell you. When Neal goes out there and balls out, if he plays guard or if he plays tackle, I don't care. They're going to have to sign him. But it makes no sense to get rid of Kayvon because you got Abdul Carter when the problem that you've had forever is, right? The problem that you have forever is we can't seem to keep our edge rushers healthy. So why would you not make sure, right? Why would you not make sure that you have multiple edge rushers so that if somebody goes down, you still have another premium one there so that you can move everything around, right? So that you can move everything around and give people less reps. And by giving them less reps, you're actually doing more for them. So, yeah, I definitely think that they're going to that the 5th-year option and picking that up for Kayvon was smart. I don't understand why you don't pick up the 5th-year option for Neal, but I get it because the tackle 5th-year option is a lot more strenuous, right? When you've already got these other people on. So they might be waiting to see. It's cool though. But again, I'm not here to talk bad about Jackson Dart. I don't understand the hastiness to give up premium picks, in order to get guys who are not premium. I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me. And again, it's not supposed to make sense to me, I guess. Like, they don't have to answer to me, right? They don't have to answer to me. But it makes me wonder, like, what the thought process was. Because they moved back into the first round for the 25th pick, right? And they gave up the 34th pick. That's 9 picks. That's 9 picks away. They also gave up their 99th pick, and they gave up the 2026 3rd-round pick. I know y'all, somebody on here said that's not that big a deal. Yes, it is. The 99th pick is a starter. A top 100 pick in the NFL is a starter. They gave up 2 top 100 picks. They gave up 2 guys who could potentially be starters. Right? And here's the funny part about it. Here's the part that I think is kind of hilarious. Here's the part that I think is kind of hilarious about it, right? If they have a disastrous 2025, neither the coach or GM will get a chance to see if Dart is any good, which means that Dart could be on his second offense in as many seasons after being in the same offense for 4 straight years. He's had the luxury of being in the quarterback-friendly Lane Kiffin offense for 4 straight years. Coming up small in the biggest moments in 4 straight years. Now he's going to have two different regimes in 2 years. That's not setting him up for failure. You guys know why Daniel Jones failed? If anybody is wondering, Daniel Jones failed because he had inconsistency. Daniel Jones failed because of inconsistency. Daniel Jones didn't fail. Daniel Jones didn't fail because he didn't have talent. It's not that Daniel Jones wasn't talented. It's that Daniel Jones never had any consistency, and so he was never able to make those strides that you make, because some quarterbacks need the they need the consistency. And Jackson Dart might be one of those guys. He might be one of those dudes that needs the consistency. So now, no 34th pick tomorrow, right? No 34th pick. No 99th pick. So the Giants went from having 3 picks tomorrow on day 2 of the draft to 1. They went from having 3 picks to 1. But, you know, it's interesting because there was rumors that people said that the Giants would never draft Shedeur Sanders. Right? Like, before any of the like smear campaign on Shedeur Sanders came out, there were a lot of people who said the New York Giants would never draft Shedeur Sanders. They were right. We have to trust Dable. That's what Coffee says. And to a certain extent, he's right. But I'm not talking about trusting Dable as far as the quarterback goes. Again, we're going to find out together. We're going to find out together whether or not Jackson Dart is good. We're going to find that out together. I don't know if Jackson Dart is Zach Wilson. I don't know if Jackson Dart is Daniel Jones just shorter. But we're going to find out together. What I do know is if you don't take Jackson Dart, if you don't trade up and take Jackson Dart there, and you just sit, let's say you miss out on Jackson Dart, you're still sitting at 34 with the chance to draft Shedeur or Jalen Milroe or Tyler Shuck. Like, you still have all of those options on the table. Why press for Jackson Dart? Hey, and if there's some of you out there that are extremely happy, don't let me rain on your parade. Be happy. Be happy. I'm saying that there was so much more. There was so much more out there that could have happened. And Dart is their 34th disguised at the 25th pick. No, it's not. Dart is their 34th and 99th described as the 25th pick. But that 34th could have still been Jackson Dart, and the 99th could have been a wide receiver to put next to Malik Neighbors. The 99th could have been a developmental defensive tackle or a developmental guard or another running back to run with Tyrone Tracy. Edub 24. Giants again did it. They as an organization have never drafted a black quarterback. They will find a reason not to. They will get them in free agency only. That's what a lot of people were saying. When everybody was saying, myself included, hey, Shedeur Sanders makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense, right? People were coming out and saying, they're never going to do it. And you know what? They didn't do it. Was it because he was black? No, I don't think so. But it doesn't do anything to stop that narrative. Doesn't do anything to stop the narrative. The move was cheats. They didn't have to give up draft capital for this dude. Dable and Schoen should have been fired mid-season last year. I don't understand the move. The move doesn't make any sense to me. I've been going nonstop since 8 o'clock. And go over to Fantasy Life, Matthew Berry's Fantasy Life, to see all of my skill position, offensive skill position reviews that I did on there. But I've been going the entire time. I just don't understand why you don't sit there at 34. Right? Just sit there, wait. Sit there and chill. Sit there and relax. I don't understand. I don't understand it at all. Like, my issue isn't Dart. Like, my issue isn't Dart. My issue is how they went about getting Dart. My issue is they could have turned this draft with the way people were jumping and hopping. They could have turned this draft into something special for drafts to come. If they trade down that third pick and pick up another first round next year in 2026, they could have been sitting with 2 first round picks, multiple second round picks. They could have still grabbed an edge rusher that was elite. Don't allow these people to tell you there were no other elite pass rushers in this draft. There was only 3 elite players. That's BS. There were tons of elite players in this draft. Tons of players who could have been starters. I don't agree with this at all, VK. Sanders' father built the team just for his son to shine. Only his son. That's complete and utter BS. Travis Hunter won the Heisman. They were literally feeding Travis Hunter the ball so that he could win the Heisman. They didn't build the team just for his son to shine. They had several people who made names for themselves. Right? His son elevated people. We don't have to do that. We don't have to like diss. He's already been crashed enough. Shedeur Sanders went into this draft or declared for the draft with 1 year of eligibility left, with the idea that he was going to be the top pick. And if not the top pick, he was going to be one of the top picks. And now he's not even in the first round. This isn't a situation like in Tennessee where they took a dude who wasn't even good, who just went into the draft and was like, oh, well, because I have the measurables, I'm going to go first round, and he ends up not going first round. Shedeur Sanders did everything you can possibly do in order to be considered a first round talent, and for reasons that make no sense. For reasons that make no sense to me, he fell out the first round, and people are saying, oh, he was terrible. If he was so terrible, how did he make all these plays? How did he put up all of these yards? Doesn't make any sense. But I'm not bagging on Jackson Dart. We'll see what Jackson Dart is. But I'm really interested to watch Shedeur Sanders' career. I'm really interested when he does get an opportunity to see what he can do. And I'm really, really ticked off that the Giants didn't use and utilize their draft picks better to be able to get more picks, more talent. This team needs depth. They don't need starters necessarily. They need depth. They need guys who can be starters to be backups before they're starters. That way, when they decide that they don't want to re-sign somebody, they've got someone waiting who's starter caliber, who already knows the offense and defense. That's what they haven't been doing, and that's why it's just gotten progressively worse. They got Julian Love out of here. They didn't have somebody to bring in for him to be just as good. They got rid of Leonard Williams mid-season, even though they didn't have anybody behind him who was just as good. They got rid of Xavier McKinney and Saquon Barkley. They don't have people who are just as good. The defense suffered. The run game was decent, but only because they added all of these pieces on the offensive line. Like if you love the if you love the picks today, I just have easy questions for you. How much better do you think Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart is compared to James Pierce, Jalen Milroe, and 3 other draft picks? Like if we just went, hey, we're not going to take Abdul Carter, we're going to trade down and we're going to pick up valuable picks, right? We're going to pick up more valuable picks so we have more depth. Like, what's the fall off? Is the fall off 3 sacks? Right? Like, is Abdul Carter coming in to be a double-digit sack guy year 1? Because that's how all the people are talking. They're talking like he's a double-digit sack guy year 1. And they're talking like the guy that he's supposed to replace wasn't an 11.5 sack guy in year 2. People keep saying that if he didn't move up to the first, that the Rams is grabbing Dart. Y'all got to stop listening to all of the phooey. Right? It's phooey. And again, even if somebody was going to grab Dart, how much better is he than the other people? How much better is he than Shuck? How much better is he than Jalen Milroe? How much better is he than Shadur Sanders? How much better is he than Kyle McCord? Even if we're saying he's better, how much better is he? Where you had to give up 2 premium picks. Don't tell me that top 100 picks aren't premium picks. I watched this very Giants team sell away their entire draft to get Eli Manning. And then the next year, they turned a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 4th round pick, or maybe a 5th round pick, into 3 guys who helped them win a championship. Giving up draft capital to move up for a quarterback who probably could have been there for you at 2. Again, this isn't about taking Jackson Dart. If you took Jackson Dart, if you love him, if you like him, love him, right? But here's the problem. Don't go and get a veteran quarterback, then double down by getting another veteran quarterback, then double down by trading draft assets to get a quarterback. That doesn't feel like you know what you're doing. That doesn't feel like you know what you're doing. When you go out and get a veteran quarterback and everybody goes, okay, that'll be fun. He can do some of the stuff that the other quarterbacks couldn't do. Then you double down and you go get another veteran quarterback and everybody goes, okay, well, all right. And everyone keeps coming on here talking about they had to move up because the Rams wanted Dart. Prove it. Stop listening to all of these reports. The Rams immediately traded their 1st round pick away. Immediately. And got a bazanga for it. It wasn't like they just got like a couple little, they got legitimate picks for that. They traded back and balled out. They traded back and balled out. It's not that they took Jackson Dart. None of us know whether Jackson Dart's going to be good or going to be bad. I have my opinion. I have my opinion. But today is not the day to tear down people who just saw their dream come true, right? But man, this was a lackluster day one. This was not the day one for me that I'm going, man, I feel great. Do I think Abdul Carter's quality? Absolutely. Do I think that Jackson Dart did some really good things on film when I watched him? Yes, absolutely. Am I happy with this, with the way in which they conducted business today? Nah, not at all. Not at all. And that's a shame. But we still got tomorrow. We still have tomorrow. But what was 3 picks tomorrow is now 1. That 60-something pick. That pick in the 3rd round, that early 3rd round pick becomes critical. What do you want to see them do with that 3rd pick? With that 3rd round pick? Do you want to see them go O-line? Do you want to see them go D tackle? Do you want to see them go running back? Do you want to see them go wide receiver? Those are the 4 places that I'm looking. Those are the 4 places that I'm looking. O-line, D tackle, wide receiver, running back. There are some really, really talented big running backs on the board. There's some really talented big running backs on the board. I think that they need to get a dude to tote the mail between the tackles when ain't nowhere to run. And you combine him, right? You combine him with what Tyrone Tracy does. This is a formula that has worked for the Giants for a long time. That thunder and lightning, right? That thunder and lightning, this has worked for the Giants. Hey, Sean Jackson, 25 and 34 were not swaps, my guy. They were not swaps. Because they also gave up a 3rd next year. So they not only lost their comp pick this year, which is a top 100 pick that could have been a starter, but they lost their 3rd rounder next year. That's not a swap. That's not a swap. That's a swindle. Because there's a chance that you could have gotten just as good quarterback play if you just sat there at 34. Sorry. I know y'all are, everybody's a capologist, everybody's a draftologist. I get it. But a 24 to 34, a 25 and 34 is not a swap when you give up next year's 3rd. It's not. It's a swindle. It's a swindle. Hey, Illuminati bullies. Hey, 65 best player available. BPA went out the window when these dudes traded back into the 1st to take a quarterback. Right? They got out the best player available business when they gave up draft capital to go back in and take a quarterback that has almost no chance of playing this year. But I do agree, right? But that's why I said D tackle, O-line, running back, wide receiver. Because I think in those 4 positions, you're going to find best player available. Everybody has said the Rams are going to draft Dart, Double R. Everybody has said it already. Doesn't mean that it's actually true. Doesn't mean it's actually true. VK, I agree with you. I think that this team, I said on a previous podcast that it doesn't matter who they draft. This team is already an 8 to 9 win team. And if they don't win 8 to 9 wins, everybody needs to be fired. I said that. But that also means that if they don't get 8 to 9 wins, Jackson Dart gets a brand new regime. That sucks because continuity is necessary for a lot of these guys. You're right. It don't mean it's not true. New York City, NYC, TV NYC. It don't mean it's not true. But again, I think y'all look at this thing like a lot different than I do. Right? Because y'all keep saying stuff like this. 34th pick is basically a first rounder. That's what we gave up. Like, I get that, and I think it's hilarious. That's what we gave up for backup. No, I understand. But my thing is that my thing is that if you're going to do that, then just sit and wait. What if they would have drafted him? I'm assuming you mean what if they would have drafted Shedeur Sanders, how I would have felt? Well, I think Shedeur Sanders is a better quarterback. So, like from that standpoint, I would have probably been happier with the pick, except I would not have been happy for them trading up to get Shedeur Sanders after passing on him early in the round. I would have still been mad about the way they maneuvered the draft. I would have rather them trade down from 3, pick up another pick, then pick Shedeur Sanders up if that was the case. But again, Sanders ain't coming. So it's cool, right? Bit Moo's right. I said it earlier in here before he got here. Clearly, here's what I know. Nobody did more work on Shedeur Sanders. Nobody did more work on Shedeur Sanders than the New York Giants did. Nobody. So nobody is actually in a better position to go, he's not for us. Right? So obviously, they didn't like him. That's cool. All 32 teams passed on Lamar Jackson too. All 32 teams passed on a lot of Jalen Hurts multiple times, on Dak Prescott multiple times, on Russell Wilson multiple times. They passed on the GOAT 6 times, right? So my problem is this team needs depth, and they need depth with quality players, not depth with scraps, not depth with guys who are just here for a year or two. They need depth with guys who have a chance to be starters one day, right? Jake Cubis is a perfect example. Jake Cubis is good enough to start right now at guard. He's good enough to start right now at guard. He's backing up, and in another year, when that guard is gone, Jake Cubis is going to walk into a starting job. You want to know why? That's how you build the depth. With guys who are good enough to start right now, but they're backups. So now, right? What do we do for tomorrow? What does tomorrow look like? One pick tomorrow. Will there be some willing and dealing? Probably not. You want to know why? They don't have a bunch of picks in the 4th and 5th. They don't have a 6th rounder. Then they have 2 in the 7th, I believe. Not a lot of wiggle room to move around. Maybe they move down from 66, 67 and try to get multiple 4th and 5th. Like move out of the second, out of day 2 altogether and just attack like day 3. Maybe that's what they do. I hear what you're saying, New York State Mind. Right? If everybody's saying the Rams would have drafted Dart, so what if they did? Like that, but that's what I said earlier. I said even if they were going to draft Dart, who cares? Dart is not that dude. Dart is not the dude that you go, oh my gosh, we gotta mortgage heaven and earth. And guess what? The best part is if I'm wrong about that, then that means Giants fans, you have found your quarterback of the future. And if that's your quarterback for the next 10, 15 years, I will happily be wrong. Right? I'll happily be wrong. Isaac Moore, they just picked up his 5th-year option. You think that teams that trade for him want to already be latched on to his 5th-year option? This actually makes him less attractive. Right? It makes him less attractive. It doesn't make him more attractive. But they're not getting rid of him. Because why would you get rid of depth? Hey, don't be surprised if Abdul Carter does not beat out Kayvon Thibodeau for a starting spot. Please don't. And don't call him a bust when he doesn't. By the way, they're only a year and a half apart in age, I think. Maybe a little more than that. I'm really, really interested in what the Giants are going to do with this 3rd round pick. I want to know. I want to know what they're going to do with this 3rd round pick. I don't buy the attitude stuff. And here's why I don't buy the attitude stuff. Unless the attitude stuff is him not coming in, oh, yes, sir, I do what you want me to do, sir. Because he's a strong man who comes from a strong family. I don't think this is over for Sanders. Like, so what he went 2nd? He goes in the 2nd round or the 3rd round. If he goes to the right place and they give him an opportunity, he's going to be successful. He's been successful at every single level he's ever been at. He didn't transfer because he couldn't beat somebody out. He just kept going to better and better heights, right? So I'm not worried. This isn't even about Shadur Sanders anymore. Now we're on to what are they going to do with this 3rd round pick? I think it's the 3rd round pick, right? 67. Like, what are they going to do with that 3rd round pick? Early 3rd round pick. Right? I think that's all it is he didn't fit. He wasn't what they were looking for. But now, I say 4 positions, and I'm going to put a poll up too. Which position do you think they should attack? D tackle, offensive line, wide receiver, running back. Like, I agree, by the way, VK. I definitely think this team is going to be better than the last 2 years, because I think the last 2 years they would have been better if not for injuries and shaky quarterback play. Like, the injuries didn't allow the shaky quarterback play to be covered up, right? There's been a lot of free agent capital used on defensive linemen. So it'll be interesting to see who's available. But there's some intriguing defensive linemen out there, defensive tackles. I want to know if they're still there. There's some intriguing offensive linemen out there. I want to know if they're still there. Marcus Mimbo. I like it. I like it. I like Worth from Montana too. I don't think he's going in day 2, but I wouldn't be mad. There's a bunch of them out there, right? D tackle, O-line. I think running back is a big need. Everybody keeps saying, well, we got Tyrone Tracy, and I'm like, you need another. Again, everybody talks about adding all the defensive linemen, right? But when the Giants were at its best, they had 2 running backs who were both doing the thing. I'd like to see a thunder and lightning again. I'd love to see, one of these big backs that are still left out there. I am shocked, Ken Peters. I am shocked that Warren was the second tight end off the board, although because Loveland went to Chicago and they already have a guy that they think is more of a blocking, passing tight end, a blocking, pass receiving tight end. I think that allowed them to take somebody who's more of a pass receiving tight end like Loveland, because they don't need him to block. But I think that Warren went to where I thought he was going to go. I thought Warren would be the first tight end off the board. I just thought the first tight end off the board would come with Indianapolis. So, right. The running back out of Rutgers doesn't do anything for me. I just think he's basic. I think he's a basic running back. There were not a lot of QB needy teams. That's the problem, Sean Jackson. There were not a lot of QB needy teams. There was the Giants, there were the Browns, there were the Steelers, and there was New Orleans. And now in the second round or in the third, watch for the Steelers, watch for the Browns, watch for New Orleans. That's it. Watch for the Steelers, watch for the Browns, watch for the New Orleans. The Rams don't need a quarterback. They got their dude. Anybody they're getting is a developmental guy. The Raiders don't need a quarterback. They just signed the dude to an extension. If they get somebody, it's going to be developmental. I'm talking about the people who need a quarterback. Hey, New York State of Mind. I also heard him say that he wasn't keeping him from going anywhere. I heard him say that on multiple occasions on national television. So I don't know if you can paint him with that picture or paint him with that brush still. I don't know if that's the case. Hey, it was a really interesting night. It's a really interesting night. I'm looking forward to seeing how it unfolds on day 2. I'm a little bummed that now day 2 only has the Giants with 1 pick instead of 3. They could still do some magic. But who knows, right? I appreciate all of you guys who came and hung out. Make sure that if you're not somebody who's already subscribed, which I know a lot of you are, hit that subscribe button. Tell somebody else to subscribe. I'll be back here after the draft tomorrow night. I'll be back. When the draft wraps up tomorrow night, let's come right back here. Let's talk that talk. I want to be excited about whatever that third pick is, that third round pick is tomorrow. I don't care. If it's one of these 4 positions, I'm going to feel good. Running back, wide receiver, D tackle, offensive line. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I am Coach Gene Clemons. I'm tired, and I have a giant issue.